Chapter 23:11 Taunting. In terms of sword principle, I have the sword principle Xian Luo that is capable of attacking and defending. In close combat fights, that would be sufficient. However, the sword principle Xian Luo is too ordinary. Although it could eliminate my weaknesses, I won't have much of an advantage either. Therefore, I have to create the most appropriate ultimate move for killing. The space-time sword principle and reincarnation sword principle could perfectly infuse the rules of order. I can follow through with it to the very end. Jian Wushuang had plans for his own sword principles. Long ago, when he was still in the eternal chaotic world, he had thought of taking the paths of time-space sword principle and reincarnation sword principle. However, he had barely gotten in touch with the space-time doctrine and reincarnation doctrine and had not reached the level of the rules of order. Although he had come out with several sword principles, they weren't infused with the rules of order. And now, Wu Yu had left those sword principles aside completely. Instead, he had combined rules of order with the sword principles perfectly in his creation. When he had been in eternal chaotic world, he had made a breakthrough in reincarnation sword principle and come out with samsara. Now that he was in absolute beginning divine world, the birth of Snow Cleave gave him a foundation in space-time sword principle. Regardless if it was the space-time sword principle or the reincarnation sword principle, I have created the first move. Moving ahead, it would be constant improvements together with the ordinary sword principle Xian Luo. Only then could I really move towards perfection in my sword principle, Jian Wushuang mumbled to himself. Moving ahead, I have to work harder. Jian Wushuang continued his silent sword cultivation in the Lin Mansion. Time passed quickly. Soon, Jian Wushuang was 16. He had been in the Lin Mansion for over 3 years. In his room, Jian Wushuang sat on his bed with his legs crossed. The 16-year-old Jian Wushuang no longer had the childlike features of his youth. Instead, he looked cooler and handsome. As for his appearance, he had intentionally made himself look similar to how he had been in his previous life. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes abruptly. At that very moment, a dense and powerful divine power emanated from his body. Middle stage pure sun realm. Just as expected, without a limitation on the realm, all I need is to accumulate divine power. This has made cultivation a lot quicker, Jian Wushuang mumbled with a faint smile. Pure Sun Realm was the equivalent of the real God stage in the eternal chaotic world. As for middle stage Pure Sun Realm, it was the same as the second stage of Real God, the eternal real God. He wasn't too far away from the chaotic realm. Judging from this speed, in another 4 years or when I'm 20, I should be able to reach the chaotic realm. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The chaotic realm still wasn't his previous pinnacle. Now that he had reincarnated as a perfect chaotic life form, once he returned to the chaotic realm, his fighting power would be substantially stronger. Furthermore, once he reached the chaotic realm, he could also start cultivating some secret skills he knew in the eternal chaotic world. He would also be qualified to start with the few secret skills that his master, Xianxia, had left in his mind. At that time, he would likely stand at the top of the Anzhou prefecture. No hurry. One step at a time, Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. All of a sudden, he was alarmed. The extended soul power had detected people walking towards the room he was in. Jian Wushuang walked out of the room instantly. Brother Wushuang. From afar, Jian Wushuang could see Lin Yang approaching. Lin Qingqing was following him. Jian Wushuang could see a tinge of bloodlust gleaming in the eyes of Lin Yang. What happened? Why are you looking so furious? Asked Jian Wushuang. In the 3 years that he had spent in Lin Mansion, Lin Yang had often paid him visits. After several encounters, they had become quite close. Although Jian Wushuang still didn't see Lin Yang as a brother he could go through life and death with, he did see him as a friend. He was also the first friend he had made in absolute beginning divine world since he reincarnated. Brother Wushuang, I would like to ask for your help, Lin Yang said solemnly. Help? Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. Speak. What happened? It's the Zhuge family. They are here with their #1 figure of the younger generation, Zhuge Hong. This guy constantly provoked the disciples of our Lin Mansion and even announced he wants to challenge every single one of the younger generation in Lin Mansion. Lin Yang was fuming as he spoke. Jian Wushuang understood instantly. A conflict within the younger generation. Zhuge family and Lin family were both among the 6 elite families in Anzhou Prefecture. Moreover, they had always been sworn enemies. Conflicts were common throughout the year. This wasn't limited to just the higher management. Conflicts and fights between younger generation disciples were equally common. However, going to the Lin mansion directly to taunt was probably a little overboard. What's the matter? Isn't there anyone in the younger generation that is a match for Zhuge Hong? Asked Jian Wushuang. Lin Yang's expression changed a little and he answered, Brother Wushuang, I'll be frank here. Zhuge Hong isn't ordinary. Not only is he exceptionally talented, he also entered the Dongzhou sect at a young age as a core disciple. His master is a very powerful and frightening chaotic divine demon that isn't any weaker than the commandery governor of Anzhou Prefecture. Under the tutelage of his master and grooming of Dongzhou sect, Zhuge Hong's strength isn't something that the disciples of our Lin mansion can match. Even though I wouldn't like to admit it, I have to say I'm not just a notch weaker than him. Since you can't defeat him, just bear with him. Or perhaps you could ask the higher management of your Lin mansion to teach that Zhuge Hong a lesson, Jian Wushuang said nonchalantly. In his previous lifetime, he had lived for close to 100,000 years in the eternal chaotic world. He had seen far too many conflicts between families and even sects and were numb to them. Since the younger generation disciples weren't a match, they could only bear with them. Finding help externally wouldn't be a wise decision. Jian Wushuang had no intention of being implicated in the long conflicts between the two families. This was because he wouldn't be helping Lin mansion. Rather, he would be doing harm. If they couldn't win, enduring was their only option. When they made improvements, they could find their pride. That was what big families should do. If Zhuge Hong was just taunting, we could just put up with him. However, he went over us over and over again. More importantly, he even humiliated Qingqing in the past. Lin Yang gnashed his teeth as the bloodlust surrounding him intensified. Oh! Jian Wushuang was taken aback. He took a glance at Lin Qingqing and saw she was looking extremely bitter. Brother Wushuang, Qingqing was only able to continue practicing the hazy sword principle because of your guidance. Subsequently, Qingqing followed your instructions to have more trials in the outside world. However, Qingqing suffered a blow in a recent trial. She was severely injured and a Lin mansion's disciple that accompanied her even died. At that time, the Lin mansion's disciple wanted to escape and look for help for Qingqing. Qingqing was severely injured then and that was the only option. Chapter 23:12 Sounding OU. By the time Qingqing came back with help, the disciple was already dead. This left Qingqing extremely remorseful and she blamed herself for the incident. We had a hard time helping Qingqing get back on her feet. However, Zhuge Hong brought up the incident today again. He even humiliated Qingqing directly and accused her of abandoning her comrade. In the end, Qingqing cried, Lin Yang said coldly. Jian Wushuang took a glance at Lin Qingqing. His impression of her had always been of a gentle and adorable girl. However, he could now see signs of crying. From her eyes, he could tell she was still carrying strong guilt and self-hatred. It isn't just that. For Qingqing, those who know about the incident have never told others about it. There weren't any other people around then either. Logically speaking, no one should know about it. Yet, Zhuge Hong knew. Coupled with the fact that I heard Zhuge Hong happened to be in the vicinity then. If I'm right, they were probably aware Qingqing was in danger then. Furthermore, there's a high chance that this was the doing of Zhuge Hong. As he spoke, killing intent oozed from Lin Yang. Brother Wushuang, although Qingqing isn't my biological sister, she's even closer to me than a real one. I only blame myself for being incapable and unable to teach Zhuge Hong a lesson for Qingqing. I could only come to seek help from you. Jian Wushuang was also moved. Regardless of the taunts thrown out in a quarrel between the younger generation, they could be explained as a fit of anger. However, exposing one's wound in the public and piling on insults, and even resorting to unscrupulous means would be a little much, Jian Wushuang remarked. All right, I'll go take a look with you. Great. He's at the drill ground in our Lin mansion. Let's hurry there. Lin Yang perked up with joy. Soon, with Lin Yang taking the lead, Jian Wushuang arrived at the drill ground. The drill ground was congested with a large number of younger generation disciples. Also, Many Lin Mansion experts had gathered there. In front of these experts, an unruly young man in a black robe was standing there. He had a mocking smile across his face while looking at the crowd from Lin Mansion disdainfully. Although there were numerous Lin Mansion disciples and experts, they didn't amount to anything in his eyes. Jian Wushuang could tell that the young man in the black robe was Zhuge Hong. However, he wasn't paying attention to Zhuge Hong. Instead, he was staring at an old man in a grey robe behind Zhuge Hong. The old man in the grey robe was squinting his eyes and had hidden his aura perfectly. Nonetheless, Jian Wushuang could tell with a single glance that this was a true chaotic divine demon. Chaotic divine demon would definitely be experts at the top of the pyramid in Anzhou Prefecture. The divine demon expert is following Zhuge Hong personally, and yet he has showed no intention of stopping Zhuge Hong. Rather, he appears to be doing so on purpose. Jian Wushuang smiled gently. Lin Yang, if I got it right, Zhuge Hong's purpose isn't simply taunting the younger generation disciples. He is most likely trying to sound you guys out. Sound us out? What do you mean? Lin Yang was puzzled. Lin family has always been in conflict with the Zhuge family. The hatred between both sides runs deep, and both parties will want to annihilate the other completely. The only shame is that none of the parties have the absolute strength needed to crush the other. But now Zhuge family is probably thinking of taking action against your Lin family. Therefore, they sent Zhuge Hong over. He looks like he was just provoking you guys, but, in fact, he's trying to sound out the strength of your Lin family, explained Jian Wushuang. Even so, how is he going to do that? Lin Yang was still confused. He definitely couldn't do so alone. However, did you notice the old man in grey robe behind him? That grey-robed old man is a chaotic divine demon. It is just that he is great at hiding his aura and did not attract the attention of others. Zhuge Hong is acting so arrogantly now. If the younger generation disciples can't stop him, the experts will then be needed. Once an expert shows himself, the grey-robed old man will make a move instantly. His ultimate objective is to force the chaotic divine demon in the Lin Mansion to step in, Jian Wushuang said. Divine demon? That old man is a chaotic divine demon? Lin Yang was astounded. Damn it. My father suffered serious injuries when he fought another chaotic divine demon more than a decade ago. He hasn't recovered fully from it yet. As for the other chaotic divine demon of our Lin family, he has been roaming the outside world for a long time and has yet to return. If the Zhuge family take actions now, that must be it. Zhuge family definitely knows about your family's predicament. His trip this time was definitely to force your father into stepping out so they could assess how much strength your father still possesses. Or perhaps they are trying to find out if the chaotic divine demon that is out has returned. Once they get an answer, the Zhuge family will definitely make a move, said Jian Wushuang. He had lived close to 100,000 years in his previous lifetime and had seen countless situations. He could see through Zhuge family's plot with a single glance. This won't do. I have to inform my father immediately, Lin Yang said. That's not necessary. Your father had probably seen through the motives of the Zhuge family. Jian Wushuang chuckled. Through his soul power, he could sense that Lin Taifeng and the three half-step divine demons of Lin family had hidden together. It seems like the family head of Lin family has no intention of revealing his current fighting powers. Instead, he probably intends for the three half-step divine demons to intercept the other party. However, with just three half-step divine demons, they will likely not be able to stop that grey-robed old man. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Divine demon and half-step divine demon might seem really close, but the difference was enormous. Moreover, Jian Wushuang could tell that the grey-robed old man wasn't an ordinary chaotic divine demon. He was definitely powerful. It wouldn't have been realistic to expect just three half-step divine demons to hold up against the grey-robed old man. In the end, Lin Taifeng would likely have to step in to knock him back. If that were the case, the other party would be able to tell how much strength Lin Taifeng had left. Brother Wu Shuang, what should we do? Asked Lin Yang. Simple. I just have to step in and dispatch Zhuge Hong. As long as a younger generation disciple can defeat Zhuge Hong directly, that grey-robed old man won't have an excuse to make a move. Their attempt this time won't achieve their objectives. However, if this is the case, I will probably be implicated in the conflicts of the two families, said Jian Wushuang. Brother Wushuang, this. Lin Yang furrowed his brows. It's all right. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and chuckled. Your father and mine are brothers of life and death. If Lin family is in danger, my father will definitely not sit back and do nothing. He would definitely step in, and I too would be implicated. Since the outcome is the same, there's nothing to worry about. Let's go. All right. Lin Yang nodded his head heavily before walking forward with Jian Wushuang. Chapter 23:13 Using the finger as a sword. When the crowd saw Lin Yang, the smile on Zhuge Hong deepened. Isn't this the young master of Lin Mansion? So the representative of the younger generation in Lin Mansion is finally willing to show himself. Zhuge Hong mocked. Zhuge Hong, you are just relying on your identity as the core disciple of Dongzhuo sect. What's there to be cocky about? Haha, I just like to. So, are you not happy about it? If you aren't, we can just have a fight here. It isn't that I'm belittling you. However, when it comes to trash like you, I wouldn't even be bothered if 3 to 5 of you guys teamed up, Zhuge Hong sneered. Lin Yang was infuriated, but there was nothing he could do. At this moment, Jian Wushuang finally spoke. To deal with someone like you, there's no need for Lin Yang to do it himself. Ha! It was then that Zhuge Hong noticed Jian Wushuang. Judging from his appearance, Jian Wushuang would at most be 15 or 16 years old. At this age, Zhuge Hong wasn't concerned about him. Lad, who are you? Zhuge Hong asked solemnly. I'm just a sword boy under Lin Yang, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Sword boy. Lin Yang and the crowd from the Lin Mansion were astounded. Lin Yang especially. Back in Incineration Moon City, he had the intention to take Jian Wushuang on as his sword boy. However, after a quick fight, Jian Wushuang's understanding of sword principle had far exceeded his imagination. This had dispelled his thoughts of doing so. Over this period, Jian Wushuang had remained in the Lin Mansion and was absolutely a distinguished guest. Many experts in Lin Mansion who specialized in sword principle held utmost respect for him. In fact, they even sought guidance from him often. How could he be a sword boy? However, since Jian Wushuang had said so, no one could say otherwise. A meager sword boy, and yet you dare to be rude before me? Scram! Zhuge Hong berated. He. Young Master Lin Yang is of exceptional status. He isn't someone that an average Joe can challenge at will. If you want to challenge him, you should at least be able to defeat me. If you aren't even a match for me, it'd be better for you to scram first, Jian Wushuang laughed. That's right. If you don't even dare to fight with a sword boy, you aren't qualified to challenge young Master Yang. Zhuge Hong. I think it would be better if you just run along back home. The majority of the crowd from Lin Mansion knew about Jian Wushuang's identity and started chiming in. Zhuge Hong was furious and his expression turned icy cold. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and said, All right. Let me teach you a lesson first before crushing your young master. Upon hearing Zhuge Hong, Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. Although Zhuge Hong was rather talented, he was too young. To put it bluntly, he lacked experience. Young Master Yang, how would you like me to teach him a lesson? Jian Wushuang whispered. That goes without saying. Humiliate him utterly. The more ruthless the better. Lin Yang gritted his teeth. All right, I'll just crush his confidence and make him doubt himself forever, Jian Wushuang answered. Lin Yang was astonished but still nodded. All right, but be careful. Although Zhuge Hong has a crude personality, he is strong. Moreover, there are rumors that he's exceptionally close to the Pure Sun Realm. Close to the Pure Sun Realm? Jian Wushuang chuckled. Nope. He's already at the Pure Sun Realm. What? When he said the words, it wasn't just Lin Yang who was shocked. Everyone in Lin Mansion was astounded as well. As for Zhuge Hong, he glanced coldly at Jian Wushuang and commented, Your eyes are pretty sharp. When he finished his words, Zhuge Hong no longer attempted to conceal his power. His divine power and aura rose to the level of a Pure Sun Realm rapidly. Pure Sun Realm. He's really at the Pure Sun Realm. Oh gosh. Isn't Zhuge Hong just 20 years old? A 20-year-old Pure Sun Realm? The crowd at Lin Mansion was astounded. The spiritual influence of heaven and earth was too dense in the absolute beginning divine world. Cultivators that were born in this environment would naturally have greater talents. Even so, a 20-year-old pure sun realm was an exceptionally rare talent. He would be considered a top-class talent in the entire Wuxia Baron region, let alone the Anzhou prefecture. It was not surprising that Dongzhou sect would place such a high emphasis on Zhuge Hong. Is pure sun realm that incredible? Jian Wushuang's indifferent laughter sounded. Immediately after, a divine power that was no weaker than Zhuge Hong's started rising around Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was undoubtedly at the pure sun realm as well. What? How could this be possible? This time, even Lin Yang and many others who knew Jian Wushuang were stupefied. Jian Wushuang was just 16 years old. A 16-year-old at pure sun realm. Brother Wushuang, how did you cultivate so quickly? 3 years ago, when I first saw you in Incineration Moon City, I was the same realm as you. Lin Yang mumbled. What he didn't know was that in order to not draw the attention of people, Jian Wushuang had only revealed the strength of early-stage pure sun realm. However, he had already reached the middle-stage pure sun realm. As a perfect chaotic life form, Jian Wushuang didn't require the divine power of a pure sun realm to deal with a small lad like Zhuge Hong. Even with ordinary transformed god's cultivation base, he could defeat him easily. However, he would appear to be too insane then. Facing an early-stage pure sun realm with early-stage pure sun realm would be the best. TSK. I did not expect the Lin Mansion to have a cultivation talent. However, even if you could match me in cultivation base, it wouldn't matter. One's cultivation base wouldn't be a complete representation of one's fighting powers, Zhuge Hong snorted. As he flipped his palm, a faint purple saber appeared in his hand. The blade was extremely thin and had an eerily cold vibe. Lad, show your weapon, shouted Zhuge Hong. Weapon? Jian Wushuang tittered. The next instant, he lifted his right hand and stuck out his index finger. Against you, all I need is a finger. Brazen. Zhuge Hong was infuriated. Even the crowd of Lin Mansion was staring at Jian Wushuang, feeling awestruck. Although he was comparable in cultivation base, Zhuge Hong came from Dongzhou sect and had a powerful master. The various secret skills and means he possessed weren't what the Lin Mansion disciples could compare with. This was especially so for his compelling saber skills. It was said that he had a grasp of the saber principle. Yet, Jian Wushuang hadn't retrieved his sword and wished to fight with just a finger. Was that possible? Many Lin Mansion doubted T. However, those who truly knew Jian Wushuang's understanding of sword principle could understand. It was especially so for the powerful experts in Lin Mansion who specialized in sword principle. Lin Yang was one of them. In the past, Jian Wushuang had defeated him easily with just a branch. He had even done so against Lin Yi. Now, using a finger as a sword against the insignificant Zhuge Hong wouldn't be a challenge. Chapter 23:14 Crush Brat. Since you want to die, I'll grant your wish. Intense bloodlust rose from Zhuge Hong. Just come at me with all you got. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang was still maintaining a gentle smile. He even taunted Zhuge Hong by wiggling his index finger intentionally. Zhuge Hong darted forward instantly. Intense divine power surged from all parts of his body as he morphed into a bolt of lightning. The bolt of lightning shot out abruptly and left after images on the drill ground. How quick! This speed is insane. Several Lin Mansion disciples couldn't help but exclaim. That ferocious bolt of lightning reached Jian Wushuang in no time, and Zhuge Hong slashed down his faint purple saber towards Jian Wushuang. The saber glow was eerie and about to split Jian Wushuang into two. Just before the saber glow was about to connect, Jian Wushuang took a step out. At the same time, he lowered his stance slightly and swung up his finger in momentum. A simple swing carried with it immense secrets which no one on the field could decipher. However, they could see Jian Wushuang was intending to use his index finger to clash with Zhuge Hong's saber. How bold! Watch how I sever your hand off. Zhuge Hong berated and increased his strength in his saber skills. The next moment, Jian Wushuang's right index finger clashed with that eerily cold saber glow. The surrounding crowd was staring deadly. Most of them believed Jian Wushuang's finger would be sliced off by that eerie saber in the clash. However, dang! They heard sounds of metal clashing instead. Zhuge Hong was astonished and felt a barbaric and powerful strength exerted on him. The next moment, something unbelievable happened before everyone. That eerie faint purple saber cracked upon contact with Jian Wushuang's right index finger and eventually broke into two. How is this possible? Zhuge Hong stared in disbelief. Although his saber wasn't some frightening divine weapon, it was a true terrestrial treasure with high value. Its toughness was easy to imagine. Using all his strength, he clashed with Jian Wushuang's index finger directly. In the end, Jian Wushuang's index remained unscathed, but his saber had cracked and broken? What kind of joke was this? Just as Zhuge Hong was still reeling in shock, Jian Wushuang swung his finger once again. This swing triggered some unique energies in the space and easily break through Zhuge Hong's defense. The next instant, Jian Wushuang's index finger was on Zhuge Hong's chest. Immense divine power shot out and pierced Zhuge Hong's chest, leaving a blooded wound. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang didn't go for the kill. Otherwise, this strike would definitely have extinguished Zhuge Hong's life completely. Phut! Zhuge Hong spat out blood and flew back like a kite that was not held back by a string. The grey-robed old men, who had been behind him all along, dashed ahead and caught Zhuge Hong. You have lost. Jian Wushuang stood on the drill ground and said nonchalantly. Silence shrouded the drill ground. Death-like silence. After some time, the crowd in the drill ground finally reacted to it. Won. We won. Isn't Zhuge Hong supposed to be incredible? How did he get defeated so easily then? Using a finger as a weapon, Zhuge Hong's terrestrial treasure weapon was crushed in a single tap. In the next tap, Zhuge Hong was severely injured. This. Strong. Too strong. Terrifyingly strong. The shocked gazes of the crowd gathered on Jian Wushuang. Even those experts of Lin Mansion were incomparably astounded. Some of them knew Jian Wushuang had an extremely high understanding of sword principle and might be able to defeat Zhuge Hong. However, they had never expected Jian Wushuang would crush Zhuge Hong so utterly. Even Lin Yang was dumbfounded. Previously, he was still reminding Jian Wushuang to be careful. Now, that was just a hilarious act. Although Zhuge Hong was powerful, he was nothing before Jian Wushuang. As compared to the astonishment and joy of Lin Mansion, Zhuge Hong, who was defeated by Jian Wushuang, was dazed. His eyes were empty and couldn't believe what had happened. Indeed, he had never expected Jian Wushuang to defeat him before the battle, let alone crushing him so utterly. He was a true talent that even the Dongzhuo sect had high regard for. This made him extremely prideful, and he had always looked down on some cultivators of his age. But today, the pride in him was ruthlessly trampled by Jian Wushuang. Just like what Jian Wushuang had said to Lin Yang, he was going to crush Zhuge Hong's confidence and make him doubt himself forever, and now, Jian Wushuang probably succeeded. Before the watchful eyes of the crowd, the prideful and arrogant Zhuge Hong was crushed by Jian Wushuang. Moreover, Jian Wushuang was using his finger as a sword and broke his weapon with a single tap. This made him realize the humongous gap between them that could never be bridged. More importantly, Jian Wushuang was younger than him. Much younger. This made it harder for him to accept. A blow like this was undoubtedly huge for Zhuge Hong. With this blow, Zhuge Hong's future would likely be affected unless he could find back his confidence within a short period and stood back up. Otherwise, Jian Wushuang might even become the heart demon that he could never shake off in this lifetime. That young master of the Zhuge family had probably snapped when he couldn't accept the fact he had lost to me so completely. For his good, it would be best if you bring him back as soon as possible. Jian Wushuang looked at the grey-robed old man and said with a faint smile. The grey-robed old man gloomed upon hearing. However, seeing the empty eyes of Zhuge Hong, he knew this attempt to sound out Lin Mansion couldn't continue. The most pressing thing to do was to send Zhuge Hong back and help him regain his consciousness. Without hesitation, the grey-robed old man carried Zhuge Hong and left. Before he left, he even looked daggers at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang felt helpless over this. He knew he would definitely be dragged into the conflict between the Zhuge family and Lin family after he stepped in this time. In fact, that grey-robed old man and Zhuge Hong might even pay more attention to him. However, he didn't mind. After all, his father, Zhui Yunfeng, had a close relationship with the Lin family. There was no way he would stay out of this. Different situations call for different actions. I have even faced 3 masters of Holy Land. An insignificant Zhuge family is nothing compared to a master of Holy Land. Jian Wushuang chuckled. Chapter 23:15 Lin Mansion. When the grey-robed man left with Zhuge Hong, everyone in the Lin Mansion crowded over. Brother Wushuang, that's amazing. Lin Yang was overjoyed. Brother Wushuang, I'm impressed. Really impressed. You really live up to your name. Today's a good eye-opener for all of us. Zhuge Hong could be considered an elite-class talent in the entire Anzhou prefecture or even the Wuxia Baron region. Yet, the difference between him and you is larger than one would expect. Many experts from Lin Mansion joined in praising, expressing gratitude or even paying respect to Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang was just 16 years old, the strength he displayed in the battle against Zhuge Hong was something that no one in the field would overlook. Moreover, his potential was even greater. Everyone, you guys are too courteous, Jian Wushuang also responded with a smile. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Several figures landing on the drill ground. They were none other than Lin Taifeng and the 4 half-step divine demons who had remained hidden and watched over the entire series of events. When they saw Lin Taifeng, the experts and disciples of Lin Mansion shut their mouths instantly. Nephew Wushuang. Lin Taifeng walked to Jian Wushuang and said, "We have troubled you this time. If it wasn't for you, the Lin Mansion would be utterly embarrassed." "It was just a simple act," replied Jian Wushuang. "Ha ha. Your simple act did help my Lin Mansion greatly. If I'm not wrong, the Zhuge family was probably trying to sound out the strength of our Lin Mansion today. Or rather, they are trying to find out the extent of my recovery. If you did not defeat Zhuge Hong and let him press the issue, I would most likely be forced to step in." Jian Wushuang kept his smile. He knew Lin Taifeng would be able to see the true intentions of Zhuge family since he could be the family head. "Oh right. Wushuang, I saw you broke Zhuge Hong's weapon with just your finger. Zhuge Hong's weapon was most likely a terrestrial treasure. Yet, you are able to break it. Considering that both of you are at similar cultivation bases, I guess your understanding of sword principle has probably reached the level of great achievement." Lin Taifeng turned to Jian Wushuang abruptly and asked, "Great achievement in sword principle?" Several Lin Mansion experts who specialized in sword principle had now turned to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang only responded with a casual smile and didn't answer directly. However, his smile could be seen as a wordless sign of consent. "Just as I expected." Seeing Jian Wushuang did not mention otherwise, and Lin Taifeng was astounded. He was able to tell from the battle previously. In the absolute beginning divine world, the classifications of one's cultivation base, weapons, elixirs, and various aspects were different from those in the eternal chaotic world. In the eternal chaotic world, the most powerful weapon was just Chaos Divine Treasure. However, Chaos Divine Treasure was just a blurry concept. Many experts that stood at the top of the eternal chaotic world owned Chaos Divine Treasures. Yet, their might differed greatly. Together with the immense restrictions of heaven and earth, even those great emperors that stood at the pinnacle would find it hard to maximize the real strength of some Chaos Divine Treasures. It was also because of that the classification of Chaos Divine Treasures was blurry. However, the classification of weapons in Absolute Beginning Divine World was much clearer and defined. There were ordinary weapons, terrestrial treasures, heavenly treasures, divine treasures, and others. Terrestrial treasures were already hard to come by. Even chaotic divine demons would be extremely interested in them. However, Jian Wushuang was able to forcefully destroy a terrestrial treasure class saber with just the strength of his finger. This would only be possible if he possessed an extremely frightening sword essence. That sword essence was something that couldn't be found in those with only initial success in sword principle. It was because of that Lin Taifeng believed Jian Wushuang had likely achieved great achievement. And for great achievement in sword principle, not a single person in Anzhou prefecture had reached this level. This lad's talents in sword principle are truly astonishing. Lin Taifeng thought to himself. Uncle Lin. Jian Wushuang looked at Lin Taifeng and said, I have been troubling you and the Lin family for more than 3 years. It's about time, and I should be returning to Incineration Moon City. You are going back? Lin Taifeng furrowed his brows. The surrounding crowd, including Lin Yang, Lin Yi, and many experts were also shocked. If it was possible, they would of course want Jian Wushuang to remain in the Lin Mansion. With an expert that had achieved great achievement in sword principle to guide cultivators that specialized in sword principle, it would be even better than having a chaotic divine demon guiding them. However, they also knew Jian Wushuang wasn't from the Lin Mansion after all. He was just a guest that resided in the Lin Mansion temporarily. Now that Jian Wushuang wished to return to the Incineration Moon City, they naturally wouldn't have any reason to stop him. I've been away from home for too long and I should be heading back, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. All right. Lin Taifeng didn't plan to get him to stay. In that case, it's already late today. I'll get Lin Yi to send you back personally the next morning. Thank you, Uncle Lin Yi. Jian Wushuang turned to Lin Yi. You are being too courteous, Lin Yi responded warmly. Soon, Jian Wushuang returned to his room and started packing. Although Lin Mansion was in chaos when Zhuge Hong arrived, peace returned after Zhuge Hong left. Soon, the night fell. In a luxurious restaurant of a city that was a short distance away from Lin Mansion, an old man in a grey robe was standing in the room with his hands behind his back. Your Honor, this is the information from the Lin Mansion. A man in a silver robe entered the room and handed the grey-robed old man a jade bamboo strip. The grey-robed old man took a quick glance at it as his murky eyes suddenly lit up. It's him. The grey-robed old man mumbled to himself before waving his hand. You may take your leave first. The man in the silver robe bowed and left the room. The grey-robed old man brought the jade bamboo slip to the inner room of the restaurant. Zhuge Hong, who had been defeated by Jian Wushuang in the Lin Mansion previously, was sitting in the room. This is the information we got from Lin Mansion. You can take a look. The grey-robed old man handed the jade bamboo strip to Zhuge Hong. Although he was a chaotic divine demon and definitely an elite expert or overlord class existence in Anzhou Prefecture, he was still rather humble before Zhuge Hong without any pretension. He wasn't from the Zhuge family and obviously wasn't a senior family member to Zhuge Hong. However, he was from Dongzhou sect and had been arranged by Zhuge Hong's master to be here. His objective was to make things easier for Zhuge Hong. By this point, Zhuge Hong had recovered his vitality. However, he still looked a little defeated and down. Clearly, the battle had been an overly huge blow to him. His pride and confidence had been ruthlessly trampled and it would have been difficult for him to recover immediately. Nonetheless, he still took the jade bamboo strip and glanced at it. Chapter 23:16 Eliminating early. After a quick look through the contents of the jade bamboo strip, the demoralized and defeated Zhuge Hong jumped up abruptly. It's him. It's him. No wonder he could defeat me so easily. So here's that Jian Wushuang. Zhuge Hong clenched his fist tightly and his body shivered with anger. The contents on the jade bamboo strip were undoubtedly the identity and origins of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's identity wasn't a secret in Lin Mansion. The Zhuge family and Lin family had been competing for many years. It was only natural they had some spies in the Lin Mansion. All they needed was to mobilize them a little to find out. Zhuge Hong also understood Jian Wushuang wasn't just some sword boy of Lin Mansion but the famous unparalleled talent in sword principle in Anzhou Prefecture. Zhuge Hong finally felt enlightened. At the same time, the defeated looks had vanished completely. For him, if he lost so utterly to an ordinary sword boy, the blow would undoubtedly be huge. In fact, he might not ever recover from the mental devastation. However, if he was defeated by an exceptional talent, there would be nothing to feel down about. Jian Wushuang was undoubtedly an exceptional talent. When I first came to Anzhou Prefecture, I heard about Jian Wushuang as well. All along, I wasn't concerned about it and thought that the others were just exaggerating things. Now, it would appear that he is indeed extraordinary to be able to break your terrestrial treasure saber with his finger when both of you are at the same cultivation base. His understanding of sword principle might have reached the level of great achievement. In Anzhou Prefecture, it is unlikely that there will be anyone who is a match in this aspect. Even the previous family head of Zhuge family, Zhuge Yun, wouldn't be, said the grey-robed old man. That is to be expected. Jian Wushuang had his name given personally by Taoist priest Xianxia, answered Zhuge Hong. Taoist priest Xianxia? The grey-robed old man was baffled. Elder Chen, you have always been in Dongzhou sect and just arrived in Anzhou Prefecture. It's expected that you aren't aware of Taoist priest Xianxia. However, he was extremely famous in Anzhou Prefecture in recent years. He's a mysterious expert with unimaginable abilities. Although I have not seen him, I have heard about him. My father and many experts in the Zhuge family have the utmost respect for Taoist priest Xianxia. In fact, even the strongest man in Anzhou Prefecture, the commandery governor, is reverent and respectful before him. In fact, some even said the commandery governor wishes to follow Taoist priest Xianxia, even if it was to be a servant. It is just that Taoist priest Xianxia has rejected him, said Zhuge Hong. Oh. The grey-robed old man was astounded upon hearing Zhuge Hong. He knew about the commandery governor of Anzhou Prefecture and he was rather well known in the Wuxia Baron region. That was an elite divine demon and much stronger than him. In Dongzhou sect, those who could possibly match up to him could be counted with a single hand. An elite divine demon like him would willingly be a servant to Taoist priest Xianxia? From this, it was easy to tell how amazing the Taoist priest Xianxia was. Taoist priest Xianxia is a man of great capabilities and might be an elite in the absolute beginning divine world, and yet he visited Jian Wushuang's family and gave Jian Wushuang his name personally. There's no way Jian Wushuang would be a pushover. There's nothing to feel bad about in losing to him, remarked Zhuge Hong. It's great that you are able to get over it. Elder Chen finally heaved a sigh of relief. Previously, he had been worried that Zhuge Hong would never get back up on his feet. If that was the case, he wouldn't be able to explain it to Zhuge Hong's master when they returned to Dongzhou sect. Now, this wouldn't be necessary. Get over it? Zhuge Hong snorted. I have to admit my talents aren't as great as his. However, this doesn't mean I will let him trample over me. He humiliated me before the watchful eyes of the crowd and foiled our Zhuge family's plan. There's no way I will let him off easily. Moreover, his father is the governor of Incineration Moon City. From what I know, Zhui Yunfeng and the family head of Lin Mansion, Lin Taifeng, are brothers of life and death. They are extremely close. Once our Zhuge family start a war with the Lin family, Zhui Yunfeng will definitely extend the greatest help he can. As for Jian Wushuang, he will definitely become an enemy to our Zhuge family. An enemy who is widely deemed to be unparalleled in sword principle and has exceptional talents should be removed as soon as possible. Elder Chen nodded his head and agreed. From what he had displayed earlier in the day, Jian Wushuang's potential was unquestionable. Even a talent like Zhuge Hong was several levels below him. For a super talent like him, it would be best to form good relationships with him. However, if he was on the opposing side, it would be best to eliminate him before he fully grew up. Didn't our intel say that Jian Wushuang would be leaving Lin Mansion for Incineration Moon City tomorrow? That would be the opportunity, said Zhuge Hong. Could it be you are thinking of intercepting and killing him on his way back to Incineration Moon City? Elder Chen looked over. Can't we do that? That's plausible. However, I couldn't do it personally. Now that we have stirred up a storm in Lin Mansion, the Lin family will definitely be able to tell. Moreover, despite the fact that we have left Lin Mansion, we are still in the vicinity. The Lin Mansion has definitely dispatched experts to watch us in the dark. All our actions will likely be seen by their eyes. Therefore, if we want to make a move, we can only arrange for other experts to do it, Elder Chen analyzed. This won't be an issue. Zhuge family still has some experts that we can mobilize within our territory. I will send my family head a message now to dispatch a batch of experts immediately. After all, there will only be a peak chaotic realm escorting Jian Wushuang back to Incineration Moon City. It would still be easy to kill him with just this level of protection. Soon, Zhuge Hong sent a message to the family head of Zhuge family. When the family head of Zhuge family received the message, he could sense the immense potential of Jian Wushuang as well. Similar to Zhuge Hong, He would want to eliminate this threat as soon as possible. Therefore, he started preparing immediately. The next morning, Jian Wushuang was ready to move on from the Lin mansion. "Brother Wushuang, I'll go look for you in Incineration Moon City soon," Lin Yang said. "Ha ha. That's not necessary. Most likely, I'll be in Lin mansion before you know it," Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. He was speaking the truth. Since he had deciphered almost all the secret skills and secret manuals in Lin mansion, there was nothing left that he would miss about this place. However, Lin family would have a battle with the Zhuge family soon. His father would definitely extend a helping hand then. It would be obvious that Jian Wushuang would follow along. "Great. I wish you a pleasant journey," Lin Yang remarked. After waving goodbye, Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi headed towards Incineration Moon City under the eyes of numerous Lin Mansion's experts. 2317 targeted with Heaven's will in control. The space of absolute beginning divine world was a lot more stable than the eternal chaotic world. When he was in eternal chaotic world, releasing all his powers without restraints would easily destroy an area and space of 100,000 to 1 million miles. In the absolute beginning divine world, unless you were a supreme expert that stood above it all, it wouldn't be that simple to destroy the world. Obviously, with the space being so stable, it would be harder to open up a wormhole. As such, many places in absolute beginning divine world didn't have a wormhole. For example, Anzhou Prefecture. Only a few ancient sects within the Wuxia Barren region might have some wormholes. Therefore, cultivators in absolute beginning divine world would often have to travel on their own or rely on some flying-assisted treasures like flying ships. From Lin Mansion to Incineration Moon City, it wasn't too far. Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi were running throughout. With their speed, it would probably take 10 days for them to reach Incineration Moon City. On the journey, "Uncle Lin Yi, how long have you been out of closed-door practice?" Jian Wushuang asked casually. "It has been 3 months since my cultivation base stabilized," answered Lin Yi with a smile. 3 years ago, Lin Yi was struck with inspiration after seeing Jian Wushuang demonstrating the snow cleave. Immediately after, he had gone into seclusion until 3 months ago. He had made a breakthrough in sword principle and would be classified as reaching the minimum threshold. Congratulations! If I'm correct, you now probably have the fighting strength equivalent to a half-step divine demon, right? Asked Jian Wushuang. Not exactly. A half-step divine demon isn't just about one's understanding of weapons. It also requires more concentrated divine power. More importantly, I will have to grasp some rules of order. It isn't that easy to grasp some rules of order. Lin Yi sighed emotionally. However, Jian Wushuang didn't feel the same way. With Heaven's will controlling the absolute beginning divine world, the rules of heaven and earth were extremely dense and couldn't be compared with the eternal chaotic world. In the eternal chaotic world, grasping some rules or order would be truly difficult. It would still be relatively easy to do so in the absolute beginning divine world. Nonetheless, it wasn't an easy task either. "My little friend, Wushuang, I have you to thank for this breakthrough. If it wasn't for your guidance previously, I wonder how much longer I would have taken to reach the minimum threshold of sword principle." Lin Yi was sincerely grateful and behaved extremely humbly before Jian Wushuang. He was from the same generation as Jian Wushuang's father and had an extremely good relationship with him. Interactions with Jian Wushuang's father were like those of equals. However, when he was before Jian Wushuang, he was more like a junior. The main reason why you can reach the minimum threshold for sword principle is because of your hard work and ability to grasp concepts. However, don't get too overjoyed just yet. The threshold of sword principle is only the beginning to the path of swords. The sword principle is deep and profound. The road ahead is still long. I can understand. However, I don't have that ambition. My only goal would be to be like you, reaching great achievement in sword principle. That would be sufficient for me. However, I wonder how long it will take with my talents to reach that level. Perhaps I might not reach it in this lifetime, Lin Yi sighed. He wasn't a demon-like talent at sword principle like Jian Wushuang. Reaching great achievement in sword principle would be an extremely high level for him. As for Jian Wushuang, he had attained that level at just the age of 16. As long as you are willing to work hard, you will reach it, answered Jian Wushuang. Both of them were chatting along the journey. Just when they were crossing a mountain range, Wang. Jian Wushuang stopped abruptly and squinted his eyes. What's the matter, pal? Lin Yi looked over, feeling baffled. Uncle Lin Yi, it seems like it won't be easy for us to reach Incineration Moon City safely, said Jian Wushuang. What do you mean? Lin Yi furrowed his brows. We are being targeted. Upon hearing this, Lin Yi was astounded. He upped his vigilance immediately and spread his soul power out without reserve. Just as expected, at the deepest point of the mountain range, there were several extremely faint auras. Noticing that they had been discovered, the owners of these auras didn't attempt to hide further. Whoosh! 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 5 figures shot up into the sky and appeared before Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi. Among the 5, 3 were men while the rest were women. All of them had varying levels of aura. Jian Wushuang was able to tell the strength of these 5 people by just extending his soul power through them. Among the 5, 4 were Chaotic Realm, of which 2 were middle stage Chaotic Realm and the other 2 were early stage Chaotic Realm. There weren't any at the Chaotic Realm. Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi weren't concerned about these 4 at all. However, the red-haired old lady with a dragon head truncheon had an especially strong aura. This aura was the level of a half-step divine demon. Because of her, Lin Yi looked extremely gloomy. Who are you guys? Why did you block us off? Lin Yi asked loudly. Uncle Lin Yi, that's not necessary. All 5 of them must be from the Zhuge family, said Jian Wushuang. Zhuge family. Lin Yi turned solemn. When I defeated Zhuge Hong yesterday, I expected the Zhuge family to come looking for me. I just didn't expect them to act so quickly, Jian Wushuang mumbled. He. Lad, you are pretty smart. However, you got something wrong. We aren't from the Zhuge family. We are just helping them, the red-haired old lady answered. This was the territory controlled by the Lin family, after all. Although the Zhuge family had lots of experts within their territories, it was still a little hard to mobilize experts that could definitely kill Lin Yi and Jian Wushuang. Therefore, the Zhuge family had paid a price to hire the red-haired old lady. So that's how it is. I know all half-step divine demons of the Zhuge family and yet didn't recognize you, so you aren't from the Zhuge family, Lin Yi said coldly. You should know who we are. If you work for Zhuge family today, you will offend Lin family completely. Our Lin family will definitely hunt you down and there won't be a place for you in Anzhou Prefecture anymore. Why don't you guys stop here and be friendly with our Lin family? Lin family knew the threat of the 5 people before him. Therefore, while sending a message to Lin Mansion requesting reinforcements secretly, he was trying to convince the red-haired old lady to stop. Even if he couldn't convince her, he wanted to buy as much time as possible. Stop here? Wishful thinking. I have taken benefits from the Zhuge family and am here at their request. It's only natural that I keep my word. As for how your Lin family will want to pursue us in the future, we aren't from the Anzhou Prefecture to begin with. After this, we will leave Anzhou Prefecture for good. Your threats do not mean anything to us at all. Therefore, you 2 can just sit tight and wait for your deaths obediently. 2318 Ambush. Therefore, you 2 can just sit tight and wait for your deaths obediently. Her cold voice reverberated in the air. Just as she finished her words, the red-haired old lady pointed the dragon head truncheon towards Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi. Despite being at a distance, a dense stream of devilish aura gushed out from the dragon head truncheon. The devilish aura filled the atmosphere and morphed into a giant demonic dragon in the blink of an eye. The demonic dragon was entirely black and emanated a frightening aura. It let out a deafening roar before rushing towards Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi. Before the demonic dragon approached, a stifling pressure swept across Jian Wushuang and Lin Yi. Jian Wushuang was unmoved. He had seen too many half-step divine demons in his previous lifetime. Now that he was facing one again, he was still as calm as ever despite not recovering fully. However, Lin Yi wasn't able to be as composed as Jian Wushuang. Damn it! Lin Yi cursed. Before the demon reached him, he drew the sword from his back. Powerful sword essence erupted into the sky. Since he had reached the minimum threshold of sword principle, Lin Yi's sword essence was clearly way stronger than before. Lin Yi took a big step forward and swung his sword decisively, just like a streak of sword light that was about to split the heavens. The strike was blurry but had unwavering dominance. In the next instant, he struck the head of the giant demonic dragon. Demonic mist tumbled around the demonic dragon. Despite having a powerful aura, it was split into two by the sword light and dissipated into the atmosphere. Ha! The red-haired old lady with the dragon head truncheon was astonished and turned to the other four chaotic realms. Didn't your Zhuge family say the one escorting the lad was an ordinary peak chaotic realm? Yet, he sliced my demonic dragon in a single strike. His strength is probably not any weaker than a half-step divine demon's. The four chaotic realm experts couldn't answer at that moment. From the intelligence gathered by the Zhuge family, Lin Yi was indeed an ordinary peak chaotic realm. Although his sword principle was pretty good, it wasn't too extraordinary. However, just like the red-haired old lady had said, he was really strong. It looks like our Zhuge family's intelligence was erroneous. Although Lin Yi was much stronger than we expected, he shouldn't be beyond the range your honor could handle, right? One of them asked. Yeah, I can still handle him, but the difficulty is a lot higher. The promised remuneration has to increase by 30, said the red-haired old lady. 30. The four chaotic realm experts turned solemn. However, after communicating with their consciousness, they nodded their heads in unison. As long as your honor is willing to stick to your end of the deal, 30 should be acceptable. All right. Leave Lin Yi to me. However, you guys will have to finish off Jian Wushuang personally, the red-haired old lady said. Not a problem. The four chaotic realm experts agreed decisively. They only found Lin Yi to be a slight issue. As for Jian Wushuang, a mere pure sun realm wasn't something that would bother them. Once they had reached an agreement, the red-haired old lady made the first move. You are Lin Yi? To be able to slice my demonic dragon in a single strike, you are pretty strong. However, even if you can slice one, can you deal with 5? The red-haired old lady stared at Lin Yi. Divine power surged from her and an intense devilish aura gathered. Soon, 5 demonic dragons had formed. Shit! Lin Yi was flabbergasted. His all-out strike could destroy a demonic dragon. However, he had to deal with 5 at the same time now. Lin Yi was plunged into exceptional danger instantly. Pal, run away now! Lin Yi shouted. Sword essence surged as he charged towards the 5 demonic dragons. Powerful sword light flickered as Lin Yi tackled the 5 demonic dragons. However, it was clear that Lin Yi was in an absolutely disadvantageous position. He would be able to barely keep himself alive and couldn't possibly care for Jian Wushuang at this juncture. He only hoped Jian Wushuang would be fortunate to escape from this. What he had never expected was that Jian Wushuang wouldn't attempt to flee at all. When he heard Lin Yi shouted, Jian Wushuang remained rooted to the ground. Whoosh! 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 The 4 chaotic realm experts from the Zhuge family had already surrounded him. Seeing that Jian Wushuang remained unmoved, they scoffed. He. Brat, are you so afraid that you have become dumb? Lin Yi ordered you to flee immediately, and yet you choose to remain behind? Although you have frightening talents, you are still too young and haven't been through many ordeals. In a life and death situation, you have become paralyzed in fear. It's good that way. You will have a quicker death and won't suffer as much. The 4 chaotic realm experts chatted casually and weren't concerned by Jian Wushuang at all. However, what they didn't notice was when they were mocking Jian Wushuang, contempt was gleaming in Jian Wushuang's eyes. That half-step divine demon expert is held up by Uncle Lin Yi. There isn't even a peak chaotic realm among the 4 of them. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He wasn't silly and he wasn't paralyzed in fear. In his previous lifetime, he had been through numerous setbacks. In the most pressing danger, he could still remain calm while searching for a glimmer of hope. His current encounter wouldn't even have been considered a small wave. The reason why he didn't heed Lin Yi's advice to flee at the first instance was because only 4 chaotic realms weren't qualified to make him flee. In the air, Jian Wushuang stood peacefully. He flipped his palm and a red sword appeared in his hand. The sword was 4 feet long and didn't have a sheath. The red body made it look as though it was submerged in fresh blood. When it appeared in Jian Wushuang's hand, it instantly attracted the attention of the 4 chaotic realms. This is. They stared at the sword. At first glance, the long sword looked ordinary. However, it seemed to have been to hell and back. Corpses were scattered everywhere and the sea of blood was vast and boundless. Great sword. That's definitely a terrestrial treasure. Moreover, it's a peak terrestrial treasure or even a heavenly treasure. Without a doubt, this was a stunning killing sword. This sword was none other than the Blood Mountain Sword. The sword that had descended from the sky when Jian Wushuang was born. Chapter 23 19 Strike Old Pal. It's been a long time since I last fought with you. Jian Wushuang ran his fingers through the body of the Blood Mountain Sword while feeling the icy cold sensation from it. The Blood Mountain Sword was the closest comrade Jian Wushuang had ever had. Although it had only been 16 years since he had held the Blood Mountain Sword and gone on a killing spree, it felt like a lifetime. The difference of a lifetime was undoubtedly long. Now that Jian Wushuang had taken out his Blood Mountain Sword again, it symbolized that the infamous Sword Emperor of the previous lifetime was about to use his Reaper Sword once again. As for the Blood Mountain Sword, it could also pick up the killing intent from Jian Wushuang that it had been missing for a long time. The body of the sword started trembling violently. TSK. Although this kid is still young, he has a pretty good sword. I heard when this kid was born, a divine sword descended with him. It was also because of that the name he was given suggested he would be unparalleled in swords. That divine sword that descended with him is probably the one he is holding on to currently. Such an incredible sword in the hands of a pure Sun Realm kid would be such a waste. It's better for it to be with us to show its true might. To prevent unexpected events from happening, let's kill him right now. Kill. After a short conversation, all 4 of them struck at the same time. VAR Axid 6327 document element by exercise 6327 SSP 6327-math floor date now. Window to pubic stag window pubic stag logically speaking, they were all at the chaotic realm while Jian Wushuang was just at the pure sun realm. Any one of them could have easily killed Jian Wushuang. Yet, they had chosen to strike at the first instant together. This was because they wouldn't want to give Jian Wushuang even the slightest opportunity. Moreover, they coordinated well. One of them was using a saber and was like the embodiment of the god of thunder as he charged towards Jian Wushuang with flickering lightning surrounding him. Another one used a black spear. Through the emptiness of space, he silently lunged towards Jian Wushuang's head. A girl was using a red long whip that moved like a giant python and was circling around Jian Wushuang swiftly. The most stunning of them all was a burly bald man. As he pushed out his palm, a giant hand formed that shrouded the space before Jian Wushuang. They had completely cut off any path of escape for Jian Wushuang. The next instant, the saber sliced open Jian Wushuang's body. That black spear penetrated Jian Wushuang's skull. That long red whip crushed Jian Wushuang's body. And the final large palm from the burly bald man destroyed everything that Jian Wushuang had been using initially. Everything was so smooth and fluid. However, the 4 chaotic realm experts that struck felt something wasn't right. This was because all of them could feel their attacks weren't connecting with a material body. Whoosh! Unknowingly, Jian Wushuang had appeared in the middle of the quartet. In the same space, Jian Wushuang utilized space-time rules of order and arrived in the middle of the quartet silently. The next moment, Jian Wushuang struck with his Blood Mountain Sword. Wang as the sword moved through, ripples reverberated through the surrounding space as though something heavy was being thrown into a calm lake. The swing from Jian Wushuang was like a heavy object while the surrounding space was like a peaceful lake. A sword glow lit up the space and intoxicated the rest. It was just a small ray of sword light and yet the entire space was shrouded in it. For a moment, time and space seemed to have stopped. It was as though the 4 figures were frozen solid and not moving an inch. Jian Wushuang put away his sword slowly and walked through the quartet without taking a look back. At this very moment, the frozen quartet was filled with fear. It wasn't that they didn't want to move. They couldn't have even if they wished to. Moreover, they could feel a sharp pain in their necks. From there, blood started flowing out. A thin, minuscule sword mark had been left on their necks. However, This sword mark had neatly sliced through their necks. The quartet could clearly feel their vitality slipping rapidly from their bodies. Before death, they were filled with astonishment and disbelief. When Jian Wushuang walked out of the middle of the quarter, 4 heads flew off. In a single strike, the 4 chaotic realm experts from the Zhuge family had been killed. At the other end, Jian Wushuang could hear angry roars from time to time. Those were from the 5 demonic dragons. The 5 demonic dragons were extremely powerful, and just one of them was sufficient to suppress a peak chaotic realm. When the 5 of them coordinated, even half-step divine demon would have to go all out against them. Lin Yi's fighting strength was just barely comparable to a half-step divine demon's. After an intense battle, he had crushed one of the demonic dragons relying on his sword principle. However, he had also suffered some injuries while battling the demonic dragons. As for the red-haired old lady with the dragon head truncheon, she stood in the air. When Lin Yi was battling the demonic dragons, she would search for opportunities to attack. Lin Yi's injuries had been caused by her directly. Although both of them were in battle, they were also paying attention to the situation at the other end. Lin Yi was initially flabbergasted when he saw Jian Wushuang not heeding his warning to leave at the first instant. There was nothing he could have done. Subsequently, Lin Yi felt despair when he saw the Chaotic Realm Quartet strike decisively towards Jian Wushuang with their killer moves. He had not thought Jian Wushuang would have any chance of survival under the besiegement of the Chaotic Realm Quartet. Just as the thought went through his mind, the tiny and intoxicating sword light illuminated the space. That strike! Lin Yi was completely mesmerized by Jian Wushuang's strike. He could tell from a single glance that the strike was the snow cleave that Jian Wushuang had created 3 years ago. He had only gained enlightenment and made a breakthrough in his sword principle after seeing it go into cultivation in seclusion for 3 years. This strike was definitely the most amazing and mysterious that Lin Yi had ever seen. It wasn't just him. Even that red-haired old lady was mesmerized by that strike. The next instant, something unbelievable happened before the red-haired old lady and Lin Yi. After that single strike, the Chaotic Realm Quartet from Zhuge family couldn't put up a struggle at all and had their heads severed directly. Impossible! A strange light glittered in the eyes of the red-haired old lady as she stared deadly at Jian Wushuang. How could this have happened? Lin Yi was stupefied. He would admit Jian Wushuang's sword principle was exceptionally amazing, and no one in Anzhou Prefecture was a match for him. However, regardless of how incredible his sword principle was, he was merely a pure sun realm. 2320 Water Fairy Island, a pure sun realm, had killed 4 chaotic realms in a single strike? Was this possible? Who would believe it if someone told others? However, that had really happened before his eyes. Moreover, the Chaotic Realm Quarter wasn't just at the early stage Chaotic Realm. 2 of them were at the middle stage Chaotic Realm. As for Jian Wushuang, he was just at the middle stage Pure Sun Realm and not even the peak Pure Sun Realm. The difference in realms was so huge, and yet he could swiftly kill them. Lin Yi and that red-haired old lady couldn't believe their eyes. However, Jian Wushuang was able to do it so easily and casually. After he killed the Chaotic Realm Quartet, he was still casual and composed. For him, killing 4 chaotic realms was indeed nothing. When he was in the eternal chaotic world and before he had completed his perfect chaotic life form, he had been able to rely on the uniqueness of being an inverse cultivator to challenge and even kill chaotic realm as an eternal real god. And now that he had been reincarnated into a perfect chaotic life form, he was even more frightening than an inverse cultivator. Moreover, his understanding of the rules of order, sword principle, and many other aspects were way beyond the ordinary chaotic realm. As such, killing an ordinary chaotic realm was just like a walk in the park. Even if he were to face a true peak chaotic realm, he would stand a good chance. In the air, Lin Yi and the red-haired old lady had stopped. Both of their gazes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. Ha ha! Jian Wushuang! I finally understood why the Zhuge family would pay such a high price to kill you. At such a young age, your understanding of swords is already so deep. You are even able to easily kill chaotic realms when you are just a pure sun realm. If such a demon-like talent like you were given time to grow, the entire Anzhou Prefecture or even the entire Wuxia Barren region would be trampled under your feet. In fact, you could even go beyond the Wuxia Barren region to a more glamorous region. For you, Reaching Divine Demon was a given. As for going beyond Divine Demon and becoming an undying saint, you probably have a high chance as well. It is not surprising why the Zhuge family would feel uneasy about having such a talent standing against them. The red-haired old lady laughed coldly while staring fervently at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was indifferent and didn't take in a single word from the red-haired old lady. As for Lin Yi, he was awestruck. Previously, he had known that Jian Wushuang had extremely high talents and great potential. Now, he felt he had only seen the tip of the iceberg. The potential that Jian Wushuang had displayed was even greater than any talent he was aware of. Just like the red-haired old lady had said, becoming a divine demon was a given for Jian Wushuang. He also had a high chance of becoming a superpower existence of undying saint, the level beyond divine demon. Looking across boundless absolute beginning divine worlds, an undying saint would be considered a top-notch expert. Jian Wushuang, I'm here this time because of Zhuge family's invitation to kill you. However, after seeing your talents, I have changed my mind. The red-haired old lady stared at Jian Wushuang and said, truth be told, my name is Xianxia and I'm from the Water Fairy Island. Water Fairy Island? Lin Yi was astonished. Jian Wushuang also lifted his head to glance at the red-haired old lady. Jian Wushuang knew about the Water Fairy Island. Although large families were the most common in the Wuxia Barren region, ancient sects were numerous as well. Moreover, these sects were extremely powerful and controlled large areas in the Wuxia Barren region. Misty Rain Sword Pavilion, which Shui Yunfeng wanted Jian Wushuang to join, and Dongzhou sect, which Zhuge Hong was in, were both rather strong sects. However, they were miles apart from Water Fairy Island. Water Fairy Island was definitely one of the most elite sects in the Wuxia Barren region. In fact, they would be ranked in the top 10 among the numerous sects of Wuxia Barren region. It was said that there was more than 200 chaotic divine demon in Water Fairy Island. As for experts beyond that level, there were more than a few of them as well. A powerful sect like this was definitely feared by various families in the Wuxia Barren region. I have heard of Water Fairy Island, but what does it have to do with me? Jian Wushuang's eyes were still as cold as ever. I told you about my background because I wouldn't want such an absolute talent to be killed here. Therefore, I would like to give you an opportunity. If you are willing, follow me back to Water Fairy Island and I'll personally refer you. With your talents and potential together with my referral, it will be more than sufficient to get you a slot as a core disciple of Water Fairy Island. If you are lucky, our island master, or even those elders that are above the chaotic divine demon level might want to take you as their disciples, said Xianxia. She had indeed come to kill Jian Wushuang. She had also taken the benefits from the Zhuge family. However, the potential that Jian Wushuang had displayed had aroused her interests. It wasn't that she was appreciative of talents, but because she knew clearly if she could refer a talent like Jian Wushuang into Water Fairy Island, the experts in Water Fairy Island would definitely reward her handsomely. These rewards would be way more than what Zhuge family had promised her. You wanted to kill me moments ago, and now you want me to join the Water Fairy Island? Heh! You definitely changed quickly. However, the meager Water Fairy Island isn't qualified for me to join. Jian Wushuang was cold and didn't hesitate for a moment. Jian Wushuang, you have to think this through. Even if it wasn't for your future, you would have to consider your current predicament. Following me back to Water Fairy Island will be your only chance of survival. Otherwise, Xianxia squinted her eyes. Otherwise? Truth be told, I'm really not interested in your Water Fairy Island. As for you, a meager half-step divine demon is nothing before me. I don't feel that my current situation is perilous. On the other hand, you should think about how you are going to get out, Jian Wushuang said coldly. The chaotic realm quartet from the Zhuge family has died. It will be your turn next. Arrogant. Xianxia was infuriated. Jian Wushuang, you only killed some chaotic realm trash. Do you really think that's incredible? Forget it. I've allowed you to live and yet you reject me. Don't blame it on me. A stifling killing intent emanated from Xianxia. She was finally going to use her full strength.